Why your relationship with your mother determines the relationship or relationships you'll have with other women. What I what has started to really annoy me is how most black people don't want to talk about such things, which is why I wanted to have this safe space for myself where I can do this anonymously, because I know a lot of people don't really want to talk about this. How some of the relationships we have, some of us with our mothers, how they have affected us. And because in cases where we are talking, for example, like my mother, who is a single woman, which is a case in most black families where fathers are not present and women are left to figure it all out on their own, raise the kids on their own. Because of that situation, because we sympathize with that so much, and rightfully so, we don't want to acknowledge where our mothers lacked, where they actually fell short, where they didn't do things right. So, in as much as we can give them all the praise for raising us as single parents, putting the food on the table, doing all these amazing things for us because our fathers were not there, it's great that we can give them all the praise. But in as much as we can give them all the praise, we still need to talk about the other parts where they failed us, where it lacked. And my mother failed me, failed us as her children. She did a great job of raising us, providing certain things that we needed, but she failed us in a lot of other aspects. And one of the things that my mother failed at was showing me love, showing me support, being there for me. In my previous episodes, I've talked about how I've only now, at my age, at my big age, started realizing that my mother is a narcissist, which is essentially someone who's self-centered, lacks empathy. And I actually just want to get into that a little bit before I even get into why the relationship we have with our mother affects the relationship we have with other women in general. Friends, people at work, because we all know there's been this low beef or cattiness between women, that they don't just easily connect or become friends. And it's not that we necessarily all have to be friends, but we can be nice, we can play nice. So empathy is the action of understanding, being aware, being sensitive to feelings, thoughts, and experience of another. So this is just essentially being in tune, being aware, being sensitive to other people's feelings, which is what a narcissist lacks. They lack understanding other people's feelings. They lack awareness of other people's feelings. They lack being sensitive to other people's feelings. So you can imagine how detrimental that is, how damaging that is, especially to your confidence. And because it affects your confidence, first of all, it makes it hard to have, what is it called? Interpersonal skills, social skills. But moreover, it makes it hard to have those social skills with other women, because the woman who lacked empathy, lacked understanding and awareness of your feelings, the woman who was potentially jealous of you, that's another sign of narcissism, that your own mother was jealous or envious of you, or would try to bring you down, or would try to knock your confidence down. So those things, they then in turn make it hard to interact or relate with other women, because the first woman that you ever knew, the woman who was supposed to love you, be there for you, really see you, really take care of you, really be there emotionally for you, was not able to do that. So we, and I speak specifically for Black women because I can associate more with that and I've seen it with other Black women, we then have a hard time relating to each other. We have a hard time socializing. We don't have to be the best of buddies, but we can at least get along. We can at least be nice to each other. So we get into the spaces, whether at work, at varsity, or whatever environment, where you are already thinking this other woman is jealous of me or they think they're better than me, because that is what we learned at home. That the woman who was supposed to love us, cheer us on, be supportive, was jealous of us, would bring us down, was not supportive. And so because of this learned behavior, we automatically think that is how other women are going to be. Part of it. It's part of it. It might not be entirely the case. It could be other reasons why women don't initially just get along, why other women, not all women, why other women don't just initially get along. It's definitely part of the reasons, because of our mothers, because of how we had a relationship with this woman that was supposed to show us how to have relationship, not just with humans, but with other women. And for me, speaking for myself, I know that's the case because I automatically jump to other women being jealous of me. I think they are jealous of how I look. They are jealous of my achievements. I automatically jump to them being jealous of me. Now, imagine how many other women also think the same. And this is learned behavior because that's what I saw in my mother. That's how my mother, quote unquote, loved me. That when you're in a space with another woman, you can't just you cannot be equal in a way. You someone must be better or someone must be trying to fight you, because that's what I learned and that's what I saw and that's how I was raised. And so when it comes to, I'm very bad, and a lot of us, a lot of women are actually bad at having relationships with other women. I I am personally, I'm really bad at having relationships with other women. I'm bad at making friends with other women. With men, this is something we all say. Most women, not all of us, most women usually say this, that it's easier to become friends with a man. So some ladies end up, being more friends with men than women. Personally, I've never liked being friends with a woman, sorry, with a man, but I understand that it is easier to get along with the men, with most men. But personally, I've never liked being like a friend with a man. I think that's also because of not having a father, not trusting men, and also some of the things that my mother has kind of passed on to us. Because that's another part of being raised by a single mother, because they're angry, they're bitter, they've been heartbroken because of all those emotions that they have, rightfully so, but because they never dealt with those emotions. They never dealt with all the things that happened, so they pass some of those things on. And so, most likely, children, girls that are raised by single mothers also grow up having some type of resentment towards men, because that's what I grew up hearing from my mother, that a man is useless, a man is going to break your heart, a man is just going to leave you like that. So, for me, I was never comfortable. I've never really been comfortable with being friends with guys, but I understand why other women would find it easier, because I also find it easier to get along with guys. I don't necessarily become friends with them, but I find it easier to get along with them than with women. This other day, I was at this event and there was this woman who was a speaker, and in my mind, I thought that would be a great mentor. But because of the way I am, because I'm awkward, because I lack confidence, because I lack social skills, specifically towards women, when I talked with her, there was a bit of tension. And maybe it also came from her side, because I don't know her story, but I knew that it was coming from my side because in my mind, with how I was raised, with how my mother raised me, women cannot get along. Because if I could not get along, and not necessarily get along, because it's not like I would have daily fights with my mother. It's not like I didn't get along with my mother or that I don't get along with my mother. It's the things that she would do, how she would sometimes belittle me, how she would sometimes knock my confidence down, how I have now started to see that she has actually been jealous and envious of me because of those things that didn't even click at the time, didn't click at my childhood because of the relationship I had with my mother. Automatically, when I meet another woman, to me, I'm thinking I'm projecting essentially. I'm projecting. And if I'm projecting those fears of, oh, she's probably going to be jealous of me, or she's probably just going to want to be better than me and I don't want her to be better than me. I want to be better. Because of all the things that I'm projecting towards her, I cannot interact with this other woman. And so I even missed that opportunity to ask her to not just maybe be my mentor as of yet, but to just sort of like have a relationship, because there was some knowledge and things that I knew I could just learn from her. But I couldn't push myself to do that. Because for me, the tension that I felt while we were speaking was just like, oh, we're not going to get along. So imagine how many of us are projecting those type of feelings towards one another because of how our mothers were to us. And if you are an adult, you really need to look back at how your relationship was with your mother and how that's potentially affecting your relationship with other women. Why you always think other women are going to be jealous of you, or why you think, oh, they think they're better than me. Because we typically don't feel those feelings as women. We typically don't feel those feelings towards men, but we feel them towards women. It is most likely for us to feel like, oh, she thinks she's better than me, than for us to think that a man thinks, like, it's more likely for us to think those things towards another woman. Where does it come from? Because even from our own mothers, some of our mothers, my mother, didn't give me a good picture of how it's like to be in relationship with another woman. And so I find it difficult in different spaces and different environments to now be with other women and just be happy for another woman, and also believe that another woman could just be happy for me. And not even just happy. You don't even have to feel any type of way. You could be indifferent about me and not even care about me, but it's about me not thinking that automatically you are jealous of me or you hate me or you think you're better than me. You might not feel anything about me, but it's the thoughts and the feelings that we have that automatically you are thinking this woman is jealous of you, or they think they're better than you, or they think they're more beautiful than you, or they're smarter than you, or the boys like her more than you. It's those feelings. Because I'm fine with somebody being indifferent about me. Hey, you don't know me like that. It's fine. You don't have to be happy for me. You don't have to be proud of me. But you also don't have to be jealous of me. You don't have to think that I think I'm better than you. And sometimes we are thinking we are better than other women. The honest truth is sometimes some of us as women, we do walk around like we are better than other women. Like, yeah, I'm worthy to be envied. Like, yeah, I'm smarter. And obviously, this is something that is a bit general because that's something that would happen between men too, or between men and women. But specifically focusing on women, relationships between women, it's also possible that I could, as a woman, be walking around thinking I am better than other women. Also, going back to the root of that, why? One of the narcissistic traits that my mother definitely has is thinking she is better or smarter than other people. So, because of that, some of us end up adopting those traits. There's no way you're not going to adopt them. You can work on them and improve and better yourself, but there's no way you're not going to adopt some of that because you grew up in that environment. So you might end up thinking you are better than other women. For me, that was not the case because I had very low self-esteem, zero confidence. So for me, I've never been someone to think, oh, I'm better than other people because my confidence was beaten down so much by my own mother, by my own family, that I never really got to that point where I think I'm better than other women. Have there been cases where I think I'm better? They have. They have. But more often, I feel like I'm just small. I make myself small because that is how I've been made to feel all my life. But it's possible for a woman to actually it's something very common that other women think that they are better. But it also goes back, where's the root of that? How's the relationship with our own mothers, with our aunts even, with other females that you grew up with or grew up being surrounded with? How's the relationship with those women? Because childhood is so important. How you raised is so important, and I understand it now more than ever because what you grow up seeing is what you grow up to be with other people. Now it's no longer your family that's affected, it's other people that you now have to coexist with. It's your colleagues, it's your partner, it's your friends, it's anyone else because of what you adopted in your childhood. So, how is our relationship, we as women, with the women that we grew up seeing? Was it competitive? Was it envious? Was it full of envy, criticism, bringing each other down? Because if that's the relationship with your mother, imagine how it's going to be with other females in other spaces when you grow up. So it started hitting me that for me, one thing I know for sure is that I automatically think this woman is jealous of me. Whenever I meet a new group of women or one woman, I just go into this mode that, oh, they're jealous of me. Or I think I'm better than them. Or they just don't like me. Without them saying much. I mean, sometimes you can get that from a vibe, you can sense it, but sometimes it's not even something that you're really catching on. It's what you are thinking because that's how your mother treated you. That's how your relationship with other women, with your mother when you were growing up, that is how it was. And so now it is hard to relate, to coexist with other women. And I think what really sparked this for me was that moment where I wanted to ask this woman to mentor me, and I couldn't because I did have a chat with her but I couldn't bring myself to asking for help, for mentorship, for assistance, because I felt tension. And I think it was probably just coming from both of us. You know, I felt this tension of just, it's a bit uneasy. And like I said, for me, it has always been hard to to get along. Not to get along. Get along is not the word, but to be with men. No, that's also not the right way to put it. But what I'm trying to say is, it is more likely for me to rather approach a woman with a certain issue or ask for assistance, because I'm also uncomfortable with men. But in certain cases, I actually prefer asking men for certain things, because I know that women are probably going to be snarky, or they're going to give me attitude. So I don't know, it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. But when it comes to something like mentorship, I would prefer to have a woman as my mentor rather than a man, because, like I said, I don't trust men because of some of the things that my mother has passed on, and also from the fact that I didn't have a father growing up, so I don't know what that is like. So I wouldn't prefer to have a mentor that is a man, because I don't trust that relationship. But with a woman, because I did grow up with a woman, that is familiar. But I also think it's because I am almost trying to fill a gap, whereby I am thinking, if I can see a different version of a woman in my life, a different version from what my mother was, that perhaps if I had a mentor that is a woman, it would be different. It's almost like I am searching for my mother in other women. And that is so sad to say. Like, I am looking for this woman that is going to love me, support me, encourage me, because I never got that from my mother. For me, mentorship, and I think this is definitely the wrong way to look at mentorship, but for me, mentorship from another woman, it's more about somebody being there for me more than it is about getting the knowledge from someone, which I think that is what mentorship is more about. Someone leading you maybe in a specific industry or field, and kind of just like showing you the ropes, and you can vent to them and you can just discuss certain things. I think maybe that's more of the right way of mentorship. But for me, because I never got the supportive, loving mother, female in my life, I think for me, mentorship, it's almost like this sad search for a mother figure, even though I was raised by a mother. And that is so sad to say. I once watched this video where these two ladies were talking about how we don't talk about the parent who stayed, because the father was not there, right? For most of us as black girls, the fathers were not there. But we don't talk about the damage that the parent who stayed, the damage that they did, because we only think about the damage and the gap that the parent, who is the father, the damage that they did by not being present, by never being supportive, whether financially or just being there for your kid. We think about the pain that they caused. But what about the pain and damage that the one who stayed, because the one who stayed was mainly in my life, so they had more opportunity to do more damage because they were there on a daily basis. The person who left, yeah, they also did damage. They did something wrong, they left, they were not present. Yeah, they are to blame, that you were not there, so like, at least the mother was there. But what about the damage that the mother who was there, what about the damage that they did? What about the hurt, the pain? What about the fact that now most of us as girls, we can no longer relate to each other because we cannot even relate to our own mother, our own sisters, your own sibling, your own sister, biological sister. If you never had that loving, supportive relationship with your own sister, with your own mother, it's most likely that you won't have it with other women unless we start working on it. Because like I said in a previous episode, that my favorite quote is that it's not your fault, but now it's your responsibility. It's not my fault that I grew up in a narcissistic environment, but now it's my responsibility to change that and not always think that every woman is jealous of me, or that they think they're better than me, or that they think I think I'm better than them. It's now my responsibility to change that mindset, to work on that. It's now our responsibility as women, if we are willing, if we are aware, to now change the cycle and be better. And then we can be better for our kids and show our kids the type of relationship you can have with another woman. That woman can be supportive, can be there for each other. You don't have to automatically just think that someone is jealous of you, or they hate you, or they don't like you, or they're going to get more attention than you because they're beautiful, or they're smart, or they this and that. It really doesn't have to be like that. Unfortunately, those things are just part of life. Like in general, human beings will always be jealous or envious of each other, all those type of feelings. But specifically for women, if we just look at the relationship that we had with our mother and then choose to do better, we can then teach our own kids, or even in just our friendships or the relationships that we'll get to make in our lives. We can choose to do better. We can choose to be better women. I don't have to be a cheerleader for every woman, but I don't have to be jealous of them. Like I said, I'd rather somebody be indifferent of me, or I be indifferent about them, than for me to be jealous of them, or for them to be jealous of me. Why? Because we're just women. Because here's another woman, maybe who's more beautiful than you, or who's more smart. Because that's a fact of life. Other people are more beautiful than you. Other people are more attractive than you. Other people are more smart than you. That's just life, you know? So if I can get better at not thinking that, oh, this woman is just jealous of me, or they just don't like me, or they think I'm better than them, or they think they're better than me. If I can change that mindset, at least for my kids, at least for the relationships that I will have with other females, because I'd like to have female friendships, at least for those relationships, change my mindset, change the way that I think. And it starts with me. Other women may not change, other women may not see the effort, or it's about individual choices. It's about me. It's a personal choice that I have to make. It's a personal choice that everybody has to make. You are not kind because other people are going to be kind to you. Then you are not kind. That's not kindness. You are kind because that's a personal choice you make. You are not polite because other people are going to be polite to you too. Then that's not being polite. Then that's not genuine. When it's genuine, it doesn't matter if other people do it to you too. It's unfortunate. It will sting. But it doesn't matter if other people don't do it. It has to be a personal choice. And I'm in this process of making those personal choices and decisions to not just have these thoughts or feelings towards other women. It's a personal choice. Other women may have those feelings or thoughts about me or towards me. That's fine. That's their thing. But making a personal choice for myself and hopefully for my kids. I think we can do better, even though the circumstances we grew up in, they were not ideal because of how our parents were, because of how our mothers were, or sisters or aunts. But I think we can change.